Hello, my name is Tate and welcome to my TED Talk, and today we'll be talking about the letter from Birmingham jail, written famously by Dr. King. Dr. Martin Luther King, known most famously as the leader of the Civil Rights Movement in 1964, and the inspirational I Have a Dream speech, changed the face of America for the letter as he fought for equal rights of all African Americans of the time and the future. While being one of his lesser-known pieces of work, the letter of Birmingham jail, written in the aforementioned Birmingham jail that Dr. King was held in, it served as a crucial piece of literature and as a way for him to express himself as the civil rights movement was going on at that time. Now, Dr. King's letter of Birmingham jail can be summarized in 4 main points. And these 4 points are how change needs to come now, the status quo of segregation, the failings of the white moderate, and the future. So, Dr. King, in his letter of Birmingham jail, specifically tried to emphasize that change needs to come at that moment in that time, and that he was present in. Dr. King realized that if change did not come at the time that he was president, then change would never come at all. And he pretty much thought that if he didn't get it then, it would never happen, and that waiting would be just means that segregation would just keep going on for the rest of the time. So, King believed that the whites never suffered as much as the blacks did, and that's why they never really wanted change. And King's main points in the letter of Birmingham jail was that the oppressed need to take a stand and change needs to come now, and not later. Now, King's second major point is the target audience of his letter. He addressed to the blacks and the whites in his letter, but mainly focused on the blacks who didn't care much about segregation and who were okay with it, and the whites that thought that segregation was unnecessary. He writes about how the ideas of segregation are instilled in the minds of society and how the acceptance of segregation will be the downfall of the cause. King also covers the view that whites have on blacks in society and how blacks are viewed by everybody, and why that must change. Now, his third major point of the letter of Birmingham jail was targeted directly at the failings of the white moderate. And white moderates were people who were okay with segregation and the church who thought that segregation was okay. He believed that the white moderates that wanted segregation but did nothing about it was one of the biggest obstacles, as well as the church and their okayness with segregation at the time. King believed that due to their negligence, and he criticized them, how it conflicts with Christ's teachings and how they're abandoning their teachings since they're allowing for segregation in society. Now, lastly, King's fourth major point is the future. King hoped that the letter of Birmingham jail would have instilled a sense of pride and hope for change, and that the movement will prevail because at its core, America is, the goal of America is freedom, and that means the freedom of all. Now, some of the significances of King's letter of Birmingham jail was that it defended the use of nonviolent resistance among African Americans in the states affected by segregation during the Civil Rights Movement. See, King was a peaceful protester, and he didn't believe in the violence that other protests would cause. And this is one of the main reasons why his civil rights movements succeeded while others did not, since he believed in peaceful protests. And it highlighted the fact that Martin Luther King Jr. and other African Americans were willing to go to jail for the cause of desegregation in the United States. This showed that they had nothing left to lose, and that they weren't afraid of the punishments that would come as long as it came with freedom. Now, Dr. King's letter of Birmingham jail has significant connections to today's time. It helped pave the way to freedom in the time during protests, and because of this letter, there are no longer huge racial issues within the United States as well as his civil rights success back in 1964. Now, an easy way to remember the civil rights movement was through an acronym that we would like to use: CIVIL. C, the best in everyone; intentional resistance; violence is not the answer; injustice; and liberty. Now, Dr. King believed in all of these, and his success paved the way for the future of society and freedom of America as we know it today. Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for coming to my